So we have seen in thyroid, even if symptoms are there, we are relying on lab reports, and also we have to do follow up with those, checking those T3, T4, TSH levels while adjusting the dose. But in PCOS is more of a clinical diagnosis rather than any lab test. And we are following Rotterdam criteria, which are very clear. There are three aspects which you can see. Number one is irregular periods. Number second is evidence of hyperandrogenism, that is acne, hirsutism. I'll explain it later. And number three is on sonography, you are having PCOD like picture. If any of these two criteria are present in a single woman, then it is clear-cut PCOD. But before labeling somebody as PCOD, we rule out any thyroid and prolactin related issues. Because thyroid, we have seen itself, it can cause irregular cycles. So if your thyroid is doing fine, is normal, and yet two of these three are present, then it will be a PCOD thing. So irregular menses, you know, many women are like once in a while, you know, one cycle gets delayed, that kind of a thing. I think that's very normal. And it has been said in literature that every woman would have irregular period at some point in her life. It is impossible that you will have a bang normal for the whole of your life. So, you know, stress and so many other factors also affect. But if you consistently have at least 3 cycles, which are not regular, then it will be called as irregular cycles. But not regular means it could be a short cycle or a long cycle. So a shorter less than 21 days and a longer less than more than 35 days would be called as a irregular period. And if you are consistently getting it for 3 months or more, then it would be a, again, these days are including your days when you're bleeding, because somebody would have flow for 3 days, somebody for 5 days. So including those days, you have to count the days. And hyperandrogenism is another aspect of PCOD. So we, even women, we all have androgens in our body: testosterone, dihydrotestosterone, androstenedione, but they are in very minute quantities. In PCOD, the ovaries themselves are making more of these androgens, because of which you will have acne, which are typically lower face acne or on the chest or the back. Or you might have hirsutism, that is unwanted facial hair, which are again on these specific areas, mostly upper lip, chin, front of neck, side locks, center of the chest, abdomen, thighs, upper part portion of thighs. These are your androgen sensitive areas. And this hair growth would be little different from the hair on your hand. That is, in proper hirsutism, it should be thick, dark and long hair, which are difficult to pluck and which will be easily seen. That kind of a hair typically grow with high androgen levels. And the third aspect I was talking was on sonography, you have evidence of polycystic ovaries. That is, the ovaries. Ovaries are these small, tiny organs at the around your uterus, connecting to your uterus. So they become enlarged and the volume increases and they produce multiple follicles around them. These follicles are making several hormones, including your LH and all the androgens and etc. So of course, there are four major. So as per patient symptoms, we like to treat. But of course, insulin resistance is a part and parcel of PCOS. Even if a girl is really thin, 40-45 kg, still she would have some amount of insulin resistance. So lifestyle management has to be there with each and every PCOS case, and that is a good way, natural way of at least trying to get your disease under control, so that you can respond better with the medicines. With shorter courses, you can start getting your cycles regularly, all those things. So in women who have major issue as a irregular periods, we like to put them on oral contraceptive pills, which are like birth control pills, which you take for 21 days and then a gap of 7 days in courses. So in addition to, of course, they are going to keep your periods under control. Your bleeding will be predictable, will be less. In fact, you would not have heavy bleeding. But in addition to that, main role why we want to give OCPs is so that your ovaries practically get rest. Whatever work your ovaries are doing, we are already supplementing those hormones from outside. And so your ovaries, once they are resting after a 3 to 6 months or that kind of a period, there is chance that they would recover normally and they would start functioning normally. They might start producing egg normally. and then you get your normal periods. Even a woman who wants to conceive but is having way irregular periods, we still like to give them courses of oral contraceptive pills. And then we hope that, you know, after such a course, during next few months when the cycles are regular, then they conceive. So that is one aspect. With hyperandrogenic acne and hirsutism, there are various anti-androgen drugs which are available, which work well. They work at the level of your hair follicle or the tissue in the acne, those follicles. Or they also work at the level of ovaries and in the blood. They reduce your androgen level, so they work fine. And the third aspect is to reduce your insulin resistance. The drug which we extensively use is metformin. Of course, you have to be a good candidate for metformin. If your fasting blood glucose is already on lower side, you may not tolerate, or you might have some gastrointestinal side effects of metformin. But apart from that, it's a drug which has been used for several decades in all diabetic, even in adolescent children, boys and girls, we extensively give. And it's one of the safest drugs. So in between, in many newspapers and everywhere, people were talking about metformin causing cancer, and I was like, oh no, please, no, we don't want that kind of a thing, because it's a really good drug. And with PCOS, again, we like to give it for a little long term, 9 months, 1 year, so on. With that, you even lose your weight. You tend to lose central obesity, so you get more of inch loss. And when you couple with a very good strict diet control and an extensive exercise, it just works ultimately. Like that metformin itself can make you have normal periods and will have reduction in the hair growth and pimples. You may not even need other types of drugs. And last and the most important is lifestyle modification. So in lifestyle modification, there are two important things: diet and exercise. So diet, again, all these fancy diets and keto diets, there is so much to talk about diet. But yeah, rather than these things, being a PCOS is never going to be like, you're not an actress, you do a diet for 2 months, you lose weight and you go for a shoot and it's done. No, you are a PCOS woman, so you need almost lifelong healthy diet. So it's all about disciplining yourself, choosing the right food, most importantly right portions control is what everybody just forget. And rather than following a diet which you can follow only for a few months, you should start with a diet which you are happy with, you are happy about it, and you can always follow that kind of a diet. Then once in a while, whatever you eat, it will not do any harm if most of the days you are totally disciplined. And exercise also, again, the same thing. Everybody is nowadays busy. At least in pre-COVID or era, I used to see patients who are like leaving their home at 6 o'clock and coming back at 10:30 and having dinner at 11 o'clock. And I'm really unable to answer how to exercise, but at least on weekends you should exercise. Again, aerobics and resistance, these two major, you know, you can segregate your exercise into these two. So in aerobics, of course, to lose weight, etc., it has a role. In PCOS particularly, even in lean PCOS, we always insist on resistance exercises that would actually build up your muscles, that would reduce your insulin resistance, and that directly has a good effect on your ovaries, controlling your PCOS. So even a thin woman is supposed to exercise, ideally everybody, but at least with PCOS, you can do your resistance bands, you can do, there is a ball with which you can do a lot of stretching and push-ups, pull-ups, and otherwise dumbbells or other types of weights, all these things you can do. Yeah.
Okay, to summarize this,
Should go on pre-drugs, post-drugs, before metformin, with metformin, after metformin, always it has to be a part of your life. And you have to enjoy it so that you can do it always.
keep doing it.
So if periods are, and if there is no acne, hirsutism, such issues, then actually you are a very happy person, which is good. But with PCOS, as I said, insulin resistance is a part and parcel of your PCOS pathophysiology. So as you grow old in 30s and late 30s, Because of insulin resistance, hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, these issues come up very early, maybe a decade or two earlier than it would have been. And with these things coming up, the risk of heart disease, stroke is going to increase. Also, there is some endometrial hyperplasia, that is because of irregular periods and heavy periods and high estrogen levels, your the lining, inside lining of your uterus tends to become little thicker. So again, the risk of cancer is another risk with PCOS. So these women have to be very careful. In fact, this is a group of women who are in their 30s, whose menses are regular. They need to be more cautious and still do lifestyle modification and do extensive screening for diabetes, blood pressure, etc., so that you can at least act before these things happen or before any adverse adverse event occurs.
Yeah, screening is very, very important. We always preventive medicine and screening are very, very important. Get yourself checked from time to time. Make sure you have at least once a year evaluation.
So if you have a hypothyroidism, then you need initial stages you need little frequent checking, maybe 1.5 to 3 monthly, till your dose is settled. Once you're on a fixed dose for thyroxine, then you can check 6 monthly to 1 yearly. Ultimately, when the dose remains constant, once in a year checking is actually enough for these patients. If you don't have proper thyroid, but you have had some borderline hypothyroidism, or if you have a family history of thyroid, or if you have a goiter, then maybe once in 3 years you have to get it checked, even if the levels are remaining normal. If none of these things are there for normal people, as per the guidelines, after the age of 30, once in 5 years you have to get yourself checked. Again, for thyroid, TSH is sufficient for all your screening, even on treatment, it is sufficient. And for PCOS, of course, after the diagnosis, only when your androgen levels need to be checked and your thyroid and prolactin. Basically, at baseline, we like to check all the hormones. And after that, rather than the biochemical monitoring, it is often clinical monitoring. How you're responding in terms of acne, hirsutism, how is your periods. So it's more like clinical. Sonography monitoring is not that important. If somebody is totally lost to follow up, has newly gained weight, then we like to again go with the retesting for sonography of the pelvis. Otherwise, only at diagnosis it is sufficient, because often the ovaries might show similar changes for years together, but we are really not looking at the sonography picture or the lab reports or the levels of the androgens. We more look at the patient, how the patient is feeling, how is the weight loss and other symptoms, and that way we adjust the medication. Of course, if you are on metformin, again you have to see to it that you are not having hypoglycemia. Very few patients, very rarely do they actually get hypoglycemia with metformin. So more subjective and symptomatic rather than the lab, but that is one monitoring that we have to keep doing. Yes. Stubborn hair growth, yes, this goes like PCOS. Even in the absence of menses are regular or not, I don't know. Even in the absence of PCOD and regular cycles, somewhere something is going wrong. If it is very drastic and dramatic, and if it was not there and suddenly this is happening, lots of acne and stubborn hair growth, as in which I described, thick, dark, pigmented hair growth, then actually you are having androgen somewhere around, from some source in the body. Worst come worst scenario, that source could be some malignancy, some cancerous growth in your ovaries or adrenals, that has to be looked into. So even if it is not a concern for you, at least that workup has to be done, so that you don't land into a severe disease, should not get neglected like that.
Yeah, the same question person has responded saying the periods are regular.
Yeah. So if it is
So get yourself,
drastic
yeah.
and severe, then those tumors of the ovary and adrenal is what we have to rule out. Thyroid, prolactin is what we have to rule out. And otherwise simply weight gain, I don't know if there is any weight gain. Very often I see girls or women who are gaining weight and then they have started getting acne and stubborn hair growth, facial hair growth, which is simply because of insulin resistance. That is, with obesity or insulin hormone goes high, under the effect of these hormone you can get acne and hair growth, which was there's just a mild form, and then there is a stimulus in the form of, so losing weight again is a answer for that.